everyone, this is Eric, and today I'm going to be going over some of the key administrative tasks for Cloudera's Hadoop distribution. Some of those tasks include simply checking through the terminal to see if your server, your database, and your agent are running. And this would differ depending on your environment configuration. Next thing we're going to do is actually access the Cloudera Manager web GUI, and from here we can actually administer the rest of our components. So we're going to go ahead and start with checking to see if our services are running. First thing to note is that once you install Cloudera Hadoop, it actually configures to where the services actually start up by themselves upon startup of your server. So I literally just booted up my Linux VM and haven't done anything yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in as the root user, and I'm going to go ahead and check to see if these services are in fact running. So I'll just go ahead and do a top command. And as we can see, we have the top at the time was Postgres, and that's actually the embedded database that Hadoop uses out of the box, and I left it that way. So we can go ahead and assume that that's running, but just to make sure, I'm going to show you guys the commands to actually administer these three services, which consist of the embedded database, the server, and the agent. So what we're going to do is type service, and the name of the service is Cloudera SCM, and we'll start with server. And if we just type this and press enter, it's not going to give us anything. It's going to tell us we need to use one of these options. So we're going to go ahead and just click or hit up and do status just to check. So it looks like that's running. Okay, so that's the server. The server's running, so we'll check to see if the database is running. So it's simply adding -db to the end of that and hitting enter. And what does it say? It says it's running. Alright, so now we're going to check and see if the agent's running. So we'll take this off and type in agent status. And the agent's in fact running. Okay, so that's all good news. So we'll go ahead and exit out of root just to make sure we don't run any commands unnecessarily as root. And I'm going to go ahead and go localhost, and I left the default port. You guys might have changed that, and admin still default in case you just installed this and you haven't read the documentation. The default login credentials are admin and admin, all lowercase. So click login, and so look here, and we can tell that these are all stopped, and that shouldn't be the case. And the reason being is because we actually haven't started our Cloudera management service. So we need to start this first. And in theory, once we get these services started, it should slowly start to show that the rest of the components are in fact running as well. So give that a minute to start up. Alright, so if we look down here, looks like one of mine actually failed. I'll have to look into that later. I'll look at the log files. But anyways, once they're all finished, close, and these should slowly start to show different statuses. So it'll take a minute, but they'll slowly start popping up, and hopefully should be green. But this is a recent install, so I haven't really worked out all the kinks yet. This is my first time installing it on a VirtualBox VM, so I'm sure I'm going to have more issues than I normally do. But in any event, we'll just wait for this to to hopefully boot up the rest of the servers and or components rather. I'm sorry. Actually, I should have specified. You actually have to go up here and actually start the services as well. Yeah, I don't know why that slipped my mind, but yeah, start these. This should take a few minutes, just depending on your hardware and everything and the way you've configured it. But just to give you guys an idea. So this is my local desktop, and I'm starting these services right now. So I don't really have anything else running on my computer other than my web browser and this video capturing software. I have 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and I'm using about 28% of it. I have about 10%, I'm sorry, 10 gigs of RAM allocated to this VM specifically. And I also have 6 cores of CPU allocated to this VM. So that basically means that no more than 6 cores and no more than 10 gigs of RAM can be allocated to or from this VM to my host. So I actually have 12 cores, as you can see, on for my CPU, and about 32 gigs of RAM. So it's actually using the majority of it right now, starting up these services. So just be cognizant of that. If I have a pretty hefty setup here for a desktop, so if you're running this locally on a laptop or or something like that, uh, just be cognizant that it's probably not going to do what you need it to do. You're going to need some hardware to do the heavy lifting. Okay, so now that that's done, it looks like all services have successfully started. Go ahead and close this, and yeah, bad health on all these. Not sure what's going on. I just had this running. Sometimes just be sure that you keep in mind that sometimes it takes a while for these to actually switch over. So don't always jump to conclusions, but it's good to go ahead and investigate. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to go over for this video. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.